talking about these medicines that I brought here with me today. Typically when we start ceremonies, we start off with a bit of a smudge, but I'm going to talk about these medicines that I have. One of our first medicines that came to us, the Anishinaabe people, is called, if anyone can guess what this is? No, this is, one of our first medicines is tobacco. These are loose leaf tobaccos, and it's pretty raw and unchemical, no chemicals, no nothing. And what we do with this tobacco is, when we get this tobacco, it's one of our first medicines, like I said. So when we get tobacco, we always receive it in our left hand. Our left hand is closest to our heart, just like we were just doing here with our meditations. And we hold it in our left hand. And what we do with this tobacco is we offer it to the ground, or to whatever if we're gonna ask somebody for guidance and help, like I'll explain a little later. We use this tobacco and we give it to them, and and they hold it in their left hands. And what they do with it is, they either if there's a sacred fire going, we'll go ahead and place it in that fire, or sometimes people just keep it. Like I have my few little tobacco here that was given to me previously, and I just bring it along with me. So the tobacco, we use it as an offering, like I was saying. So we put it down to the ground, or by a tree, or in the fire, like I said, and we'd thank that person, and we think about that person that gave us this tobacco, and whatever they talked to us and asked us about, we'd pray for them. And we also would pray for, if we had the tobacco ourselves and we wanted something, such as when we go out hunting in September, we bring the tobacco with us and we put it down on the ground, and we ask the Creator for guidance to bring us what we were hunting for, either the deer or the moose. And when we finally get that animal, we again put our tobacco down for that animal that gave up its life for us. And what that animal did was, it came to us with our thoughts and our asking. And what we do with that animal is we'd use every single piece of that animal, the skin for warmth, for clothing, and sometimes for our drum hides now. We tan them and use them for drums. We use the bones for utensils and tools and stuff, and we use the intestines for string and sinew, and obviously we'd use the meat. We wouldn't be able to eat all that meat, so we get it all chopped up and we share it with the community, or we share it with our families. We'd bring that meat back home and share it, because one moose is pretty good enough to hold you up for the whole winter. So that's what we do. We harvest, and we grow our own food, and we harvest in the September months. So we call it the harvest moon that time. And then, so our next, this tobacco represents the east, and the east is where the sun rises in the morning. It's one of our first stages on the medicine wheel, and I'll go into a little bit more about the medicine wheel in a bit. So our next tobacco that we have is our sweetgrass. If anybody has seen sweetgrass before, sweetgrass grows in kind of like dewy areas, and it grows about this tall, a little more taller usually, and the smell is wonderful. With the sweetgrass, we use our tobacco and we bring it out with us, and we put it down, and we'd give thanks to the Creator for giving us the sweetgrass. And we'd pick this sweetgrass. It'd be pretty much all morning event that we'd go out and pick sweetgrass, and we get a huge bundle of it. We'd bring it back home, and we'd boil it. And after we boiled it, we would hang it up to dry, and then we'd braid it, and represents Mother Earth, the braid. So like I braid my hair for the same way that these sweetgrass are braid, and it represents Mother Earth. And so the reason I have my hair long is for those people back in residential school that could not keep their hair, and so I want to honor them and give them the strength, and that I'm here for them, here for the woman, And that's why I try to keep my hair long as I did from when I was a teenager. I've only cut my hair twice since, and I've grown it back both times. So that's the sweetgrass. The sweetgrass is in the southern quarter of our medicine wheel. And then we move on to the west, which is the sage. So the sage is also, you can find this on sides of the highway. When you go up north, you see the white sage growing around. The sage is usually one of the medicines that we usually burn for our smudging. It's got a nice smell. So when we do this burning, we're cleansing ourselves. We're trying to get the negative energy away from what's going on around us, and we use the sage mainly for all of our smudges because it's more easier and convenient. And then our last medicine that we have is cedar, and this represents the north. You can find cedar pretty much anywhere, cedar trees, cedar bushes. And this is why it's in the north quadrant is because it's like at the end of the road. We hang it on doorways in our houses just to stop that evil spirit from coming into our rooms and stuff. We use it for funerals where we dip it in the holy water and bless the places. And we also do our cedar baths for our dead. What we would do would we'd grab about 6 handfuls of cedar. We'd then get some white washcloths. We'd boil the cedar. We'd use this water, and then we'd get permission to go to the morgue, and we'd bathe our dead there. We'd clean him with our cedar bath, all the way down. We start from the top with the head and work our way all the way down, using all six of our washcloths. And then after we were done with these washcloths, we'd either put it in with them, or we'd burn it at the end. So cedar is one of our last medicines that we use in the north. So when we smudge, we usually use a smudge pan we have. It could be a shell or a iron little skillet that I have here. Or sometimes you can improvise, use a tin can, like a pop can or tinfoil. So what we do, we take our medicines. Typically I'd use sage, like I was saying, because burning tobacco is going to kind of smell it, a bit more smelly than anything. Good for outdoor use. So with the sage, I take a little bit of the sage, and what we try and do and try and gauge how many people are here and pick enough to go around the room so we wouldn't have to add any more. And we'd grab our sage, we'd put it in our little our smudge pan here, and we'd light it up. And with that, we'd do like we were when we were meditating there. We'd start with washing our hands, wash the evil or the negative energy in our hands, and then we'd wash our mouths with it for the air that we breathe and the words that we speak, and then we'd wash our nose for our smell, and our eyes to see, our hair all the way down to our feet and our behinds also. And we go around and smudge. We'd go around, smudge the room, and then we'd smudge each other. And when you smudge, if you ever get a chance to smudge, and if you don't want to smudge, you can just say thank you, and you just walk right by. And so we smudge just to release that negative energy and to clear the room of this negative energy, and so we can get together ourselves as one. And when we smudge, we usually we stay in a circle. We stay as a group in a circle. We make all of our ceremonies are done in circles. For this reason, we do, because there's no hierarchy in our groups. So we're all equal as one. So that's why we have everything in circles. We have our medicine wheel that goes in a circle. We go from being born as a baby to our adolescencehood, to our adulthood, to our elders. And then from there, we'd reincarnate and come back again as something else or as a new human, but our spirit always lives on and on and on in all this new stuff. And we go in the circle, like the earth, the moon, and everything. Everything, circle of life. Like I said, if you've never been to a powwow, you should definitely check it out. There's not really too many big ones in this area. But there is on the outskirts. If you go to Scugog, there's a couple there. New Credit, Six Nations has a big one there. And if you like to travel, you'll probably find a powwow on the weekends. And if you're in the west, like Saskatchewan, Manitoba, they do powwows during the week. So like Wednesday, Thursdays, if you're ever out that way, they go all summer long. There's dates everywhere on them. So there's two different types of powwows that we have. Like you were seeing here, this was a contest powwow. Where dancers are competing for prize money, and so are the drummers. And then we also have the traditional powwow, where it's just more laid back, and where they just come to dance and sing, and we're not competing against each other. We're just there to visit family and visit friends, and just to dance, to get out there. So we use this as our own meditation and our own healing. Just getting out to powwows and seeing people and being with our family and friends. The powwow is not really a ceremony. It was created to just as a get together for different nations and people. So back in the day, we had so many different tribes from right across North America, and we all didn't speak the same languages. So we our communication was through songs, coming together and singing. And we'd sing in vocables, what are just like the song I sang. There's no actual words to the song. And that's the way we got to learning songs together, is through the vocable songs. And so when we sing our songs, we do four starts, what we call it, like in music where there's the course, and we do it 4 times. So we do the lead, and then we do what's called a second, where everyone mimics what we just did, like we were doing with our meditation earlier, where you guys were copying, going back and forth. And then we do the chorus together, the body of it. And we do this 4 times through. The number 4 is pretty significant to our culture, because we have the 4 medicines, the 4 directions, the 4 sacred colors, the 4 stages of life. So many things are worth 4. And we go, and in my culture, we go the clockwise motion. Why? Because we follow the clock and we go around. And some of our Indigenous friends go the counterclockwise and go backwards. And we also have a different society that does that too, called the Clown Society, who does everything backwards, which is pretty neat to see when you see them. So I'll talk about the drum a bit. So the drum itself is pretty much handmade, handcrafted. The wood itself is... the inside is the frame is wood, which is usually bent and heated with fire, steam bent to make it into the oval shape. Holes are drilled. Well, modern day drills are used to drill the holes, just to hold the hide together. So this hide is, I believe, was a moose hide that was given to me. And so with this, there's a whole ceremony with building drums. It's a 7-day process, right from skinning the hide to tanning it to soaking it, and then stretching it, and then putting it on the drum, the frame itself. It's put on the frame, stretched out, and then it's sewn together with sinew, which is artificial now, which is artificial sinew, but back in the day it was the intestines, like I said earlier. And then the handle is made of, my handle is made of sinew, which is kind of like string. And the whole process usually takes, well, to make the drum, it's usually a day, but the whole process is 7 days, because once you're on the third or fourth day, it's completed. And you needed time for it to settle and dry, because when you made it, it was pretty wet. So it takes about 3 days to dry. And on that 7th day, what we do is we call the spirit to that drum, and we feast our drum. We put out a spirit plate for that drum, because each drum has its own sound and its own spirit. So there's no drums out there that sound alike and are similar. Each drum is unique and has its own spirit, and was given a spirit. And with that, we usually, on our big drums, if you've ever been to the powwow with the big drum, we have the same exact ceremony that we do with the little drum. And on that 7th day, we put our tobacco with that drum. It's either built into the drum or we tie it on the outside. People, if you ever see people, native people with like a lanyard with a pouch in there, these people usually have their medicines in there, their sacred medicines that they're holding with them. And they use these medicines to pray. Sometimes they take some out and put it on the fire. And they use this medicine when they're feeling down and out, and they talk to their medicine. They hold their pouch, and they ask for guidance and forgiveness and whatever's going on with their life at that time. So each category that I was mentioning earlier has their own style of songs that they dance to. The men's traditional have a bit of a slower beat, because they have all this regalia on, and they have a bustle on their backs. And they're dancing out there as warriors of our people. And if you ever go to the powwow, you'll see these dancers. They have all this makeup on their face and a big roach and their bustle. And they usually have weapons, kind of like weapons and fans in their hands. And these are our warriors dancing out there for our people. And then we have the women's traditional, who have buckskin all over their as a regalia, and this stuff is pretty heavy, and they have beadwork. Sometimes this stuff weighs about 50 pounds, and they're out there dancing with 50 pounds of weight on them. So they can't be dancing to these fast songs that these other dancers are dancing to, who got like pretty much just a ribbon shirt kind of material, kind of dancing out there. We have the fancy dancers. We have the men's fancy. That's the showstopper at the powwow. If you ever go to the powwow, you want to see the men's fancy, because they dance to a beat that's real fast, and you just watch your feet go. And then we had the women's fancy, who was kind of was built from the men's fancy. And the grass dancers is the most important one out there. Back in the day, we didn't have lawnmowers, so we had our grass dancers who would come out in the beginning of the powwow. And they'd come out there and stomp the grass down and make our dance area for us, and that's where the grass dance came to be. And all their work looks like grass, like ribbon or yarn, and that's where the grass dance came from. So next, I want to trying to get you guys moving and share with you one of our round dances. Round dance is one of our newer things that we have going around this area in Ontario, but it's been going on for a long time out west. Round dances are mainly memorials. So back in the day, there was this lady. She lost her mother, and she couldn't let go of her mother, and she kept thinking of her and thinking of her all the time, and she couldn't keep thinking of her. But this one time she was sleeping and dreaming, and her mother came to her and says, "You have to let me go," and shared her this round dance style and song and drum, which are these drums, the hand drums. And so she brought these songs and the drum to the people. And they created this, what was called the round dance. And they would sing these round dance songs. And they do this for 4 years, like everything 4 again. 4 years back to back to back. And to memorialize the dead person. So we have these memorial rat dances for our dead.